Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and in studio with me this evening is a phenomenal woman that I've had the opportunity to recently meet across the lines of social media. She is a entrepreneur, she's a mom, she's a grandmother, but most importantly, she's a woman of God, and she's taken time out of her very busy schedule to hang out with us for a little while to share a little bit of her journey with the hopes of inspiring and encouraging and uplifting others, especially when it comes to dealing with the challenges and adversities of life. So it is my privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you our special guest this evening, Miss Dorcas Roman. Dorcas, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we get into our segments, if you would, I'd like for you to share a little bit about yourself. Just to give them a little snippet of who you are, where you're from, what you do, kind of give our audience a taste of who is Dorcas Roman.
Mm. Sometimes I tell myself, "Who is Dorcas Roman?" Because as the year go by, you become something different. Either sometimes not good, sometimes good, but you're always trying to find out who you are. But what I do know about myself is I am Puerto Rican Italian and Taina, but born and raised in Puerto Rico. I came to the United States in 94, 95. I am a mother of five children, grandmother of four, a proud Marine mom, and also I have amazing daughters that are taking over the entrepreneur lifestyle as their mom. Um, and I am, to sum it up, I'm a resilient woman because I've been through a lot in life. So that has made me into the woman that I am right now, um, into this strong, woman, sometimes not so strong, but um, this woman that I have become that every year it gets interested in knowing myself and things that, you think you don't know about yourself. And as year go by, it just reveals. But this is just me, normal woman, and serial entrepreneur. And I say that because I have multiple business, but my main one, it's the construction field. But I carried a lot of hats. And I love carrying a lot of hats. I enjoy it.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's just even in your snippet of sharing a little bit about yourself. Of course, right offhand, the thing that jumps out at me is the fact that you speak about being a grandmother because I look at you and I'm thinking, I don't see grandmother anywhere on you. It's
I
like
know they say that. They say,
that's
"Well, you
just
look so different on on pictures, and you look even younger on person." I'm like, "Well, I wish." But thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I mean, to already be claiming that status of grandmother, clearly looking great, and then obviously the other thing that jumps out, of course, is the entrepreneurial journey that you're on. Not only the fact that you're doing it in multiple areas, but of course, specifically that one of your main thing is the fact that you are a woman of color, female owned construction company. Again, something you don't see every day, but nevertheless, I'm sure for my listeners, particularly my female listeners, I'm sure this has to, bring a beaming smile across their faces to see someone like yourself that looks a lot like many of those who tune in to our podcast. To see you in that role is very impressive. So that is definitely an awesome thing, and I know you're handling your business, and then of course I know everybody hasn't necessarily checked you out on social media, but I obviously have had the opportunity to do so, and you're always full of inspiration and encouragement, which speaks to what you shared earlier about being a woman of resilience, because that's evident in what you try to send in terms of your messages and just your overall self confidence in in who you are, and recognizing your value. You can just see it, just as you display yourself, through your various videos and again inspirational messages. So all of those things are very positive attributes of you, and which makes wanting to hear your story that much more exciting, and something that I'm looking forward to, and I know my audience is as well. So I won't hold them in suspense any much longer. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump on into our segments for this evening. So every time I bring guests on my show and we begin to get into the conversation about our journeys, I always like to take a few moments to actually reflect back on the beginnings of where it all starts, because I really believe that those beginning stages, as early back as childhood, there's elements that go on during those times, experiences, people that we meet, etc., that really may not make sense altogether at that time, but as you go through life and you gain more and more experiences and you begin to look at things from different perspectives, it starts to connect. It starts to all make sense as to how did I get to the place that I'm at right now, good, bad, or otherwise. And much of that goes back to us reflecting on such moments again as early as childhood. So if you would take us back to that time and share with us, what was it like for you growing up? Fond memories that you have about growing up, as well as there's any specific challenges that come to mind that you'd like to share as well. Kind of give us that foundational basis for where your story begins.
Well, as we all know, we have good child memories. We got some bad child memories. My good ones is being surrounded by family, growing up around cousins and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncle. I remember when I was little, we had a whole unit. So it was a building or a house type. This house had like five houses in one, and it was all rented by my uncles and aunts. So it was nice to being able to be free back in the days, being young, not having to walk around with an adult, being able to go to the park, to the courtyard, to the pool, riding bicycle without no fear. And those are my good memories. My mom, she came here at a young age with us, and English is not her expertise. So my mom did the best she can to make sure we had everything. At one moment, I thought I was rich because it felt it like that. There was we lived good. We you know we ate good. We dressed good, and never did I thought that we didn't lack nothing. How she did it, I don't know. I never asked. But she took care of us, and then being around family is something that you don't see that often, which is sad. And something that I fight every day to bring to my family, because at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a there's good parents, but we're gonna fail as parents. We're gonna fail as brothers and sisters and mothers. We're gonna fail. There's no way somebody could be so perfect. um then we have the bad childhood memories that I experienced, and as being dark skinned with beautiful long curly hair, talking only Spanish and not understanding English. And those elements were me being bullied, me being skinny. You know, a lot of people back then didn't understand that Puerto Rico came with different color, because of the mixture we have as Puerto Rican. We have a lot of mixture. Um, and that was my toughest moment living here in America, was trying to blend in with people that looked at my color. You know what I mean? What's hard, because I'm like, well, I look just like you. I'm dark skinned just like you. You know, my hair was different because it was way longer. Curly. I was skinny. There's so many girls that were skinny too. Um, I didn't speak English, so that was, I guess, an X factor. Not understanding English, and trying to make friends, not knowing English and all that. So those were memories that really, really made me look inside me, because at a moment, um, I remember being beat up by several girls that were attempt to cut my hair. And thank God my sister, rest in peace, helped me. She came to help me. She came to the rescue and helped me get them off. And I was trying to understand what I did wrong. You know what I mean? Because you as a young kid, you were like, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I did to affect the way they were thinking about me or feeling about me, when I didn't even knew these girls? Um, so I left the United States, went back to Puerto Rico, and stood there for almost 2 years. Came back because I'm like, okay, why are you driving me? This is how God created me. This is how I didn't chose to be skinny, dark skinned, and long curly hair. It was I was created by God. So if you want to get mad with Him. You know what I mean? Not with me. So I came back and I decided, you know what? Ain't nobody gonna ever make me feel that I am not worthy to be at a place. This is my looks. There's We're all beautiful in every way. And I have shown, I've tried to, even on my social media platform, I've tried to encourage women to love yourself regardless of how you look, because we're going to get aged and all this is going to get wrinkled. We're all going to get freckled or we're going to get white hair. So at the end of the day, it's just it's just a journey. You know what I mean? So why not love yourself regardless how you are? And that's been moment that I had to check myself, because I've been in that shoe sometimes. Not a lot of times, but when you get to a point that you have these females or guys and you just forget about what you're saying and just lash out, and then you be like, okay, hold on, I thought you're not going to be that person. So it just brings you back. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be that person that they used to do to me. I'm not going to become them. And you reflect and you go, and sometimes you have to apologize, and sometimes you're like, okay, I can't do that, because it's not a good feeling. But loving yourself is so important. And now people be like, you love yourself too much. Why not? Ain't nobody gonna love me the way I love me other than God. So yeah, I'm gonna love myself, or yeah, I'm gonna treat and love me the way I need to love. And they be like, well, you take so much picture. I love myself. I'm sorry, but I do. I don't do it to entertain nobody. Because a lot of people think, oh, you're just trying to entertain to get attention. I don't need the attention. If I want attention, you get it. It doesn't matter. It is. We're created for some people not. So being yourself, loving yourself, not letting people run you over or make you feel a certain way was something that I had experienced in a bad way. And I tried to show girls that you're beautiful as you are. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. So, but those were good experience and bad experience to who made me, and I try to encourage other, and it goes to both ways, not just females. It could go on to a guy too, because some guys don't love themselves, and they need to also, they've been through a lot as we are, and sometimes those bad things that we go through life is what show us to do better in life.
Absolutely. I truly do appreciate your perspective here, your transparency, your vulnerability. I mean, you hit a lot of key things for people to reflect on. Of course, first, I love the fact that you spoke about the family camaraderie, everybody kind of being together in the same building. I can only imagine how how nice that must have been. And then, of course, you took me back down, that memory lane, if you will, when you said, the days when we could go outside and ride our bikes and go to the park or to the pool or wherever you are, courtyards or what have you in your neighborhoods. And you didn't have these concerns and these fears back, then that you do now, where kids don't even understand or don't even get to really experience being outdoors like that anymore. They don't have a desire to. And now you got to be worried about, predators or other crazy stuff kind of going on and
Yes.
your kids getting snatched up and stuff like that. Those weren't things that we were concerning ourselves with. And then, of course, you sharing, about having a lot of things, in terms of, and when I say a lot of things, like, I had a roof over my head, I had clothes, I had food, and all of those things. Not really understanding that, things were tight, but because of the family nature, the way that things were, set up in that environment, it's kind of the scenario. And I had a similar experience where if you were poor, you didn't feel like you were. If
Hmm.
if it was tight, it didn't seem that way because you didn't go without. you know, and it was just things just were pulled together and worked out in such a way to where you just never missed it. You didn't notice that it was actually a little bit much more, tighter or thin, if you will, than the reality of the situation was. So, reflecting on that is great. And then of course the last point is speaking about the bullying. It's interesting because as you stated, I didn't understand, why these girls coming at me, why, especially in the sense that we should be actually getting along. I mean, in my own way, I look like you. I mean, we're
Yeah.
in the same shade of skin tone. I would think we would relate. Yeah, I don't speak the language as well as you do, but why are you coming at me? And that's kind of the nature of the bully. It's not even about, for those who have been bullied or maybe even experiencing it now, it's not necessarily anything that you've done wrong, as much as it, if anything, there's something good about you that the bully actually admires, wishes that they had, or that they were experiencing, but because they don't, the only way to kind of counter that is to pick on you, to make you feel
Hmm.
less than, to demoralize you, to humiliate you, things of that nature. So I appreciate you, not only being able to withstand that fight, and even though you did go back to Puerto Rico for a short period of time, you know, getting to a point where you say, no, you know what, I'm not going to be running from anybody. I'm not going to, um, you know, dismiss, my worth and my value just because they got an issue with it.
Hmm.
I know who created me. I know he made me to be who I am with all my perfections and my imperfections, and I'm gonna roll with it, and I'm gonna love it, and I'm gonna embrace it. So even for those individuals who, want to have their comments, oh, you posting all these pictures, and you say, well, I love myself, and if truth be told, if they really had a problem with it, they wouldn't be on your page looking at the pictures. Obviously, they got, they keep complaining about it, but they keep looking. So
Hmm.
which one is it? You're either admiring it
Yes,
or you don't admire it because you keep talking about
for
it.
sure.
So if it bothers you that much, don't go on my page. you
That's
know.
that's
So
real.
but it's just amazing how people process like that. But nevertheless, I think ultimately, and I shared this at the top of the show. Your inspirational messages and trying to empower women and just show them the value of loving yourself, and that don't to not be ashamed of that, to not knock that that's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're thirsting. It doesn't mean that you're showing out. I mean, there are
Hmm.
some who do, but you're
Hmm.
saying it doesn't. You can love yourself and it not be about you looking for attention, because when you love yourself and when you have that confidence in yourself, the attention will come your way. You're not going to have to fight for it.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
yes.
you're going to draw it to
I
you.
tell that to everybody. I'm like, there's nothing more beautiful, more attractive, more sophisticated than being so confident in yourself.
Hmm.
That itself speaks a lot. When you're so confident in yourself, it's hard because I had to learn how to be confident for myself. But when you get to that phase of being so confident, they will look like, oh, she trying to be all that. No, I'm just confident in myself that I say, I look cute, I look good, I'm professional, I am classy, I can be ghetto, but there's it's just that confidence of loving
Hmm.
yourself, loving how God created you, doing the things, because it's not just physical, it's how you are confident with doing the job, how confident you are to helping with somebody, how confident you to build somebody up. Just that confidence, it's what attracts people.
Hmm.
Because you don't even have to say your confidence, people are already seeing how confident you are within yourself. So
Yep.
to me, being confident, it's like a game. Like you're winning in life, regardless of how many bullets they're gonna come at you. You just winning because you're hearing things. It's coming through here, but it's coming out here. Now there's moments that I've had it come here, and I had throw bullets, and I'm like, oh, hold on, because I could damage. That's a mechanism with me that I don't hurt people physically, but I've learned throughout my years that I can hurt you verbally, and I try not to do that because I know how it feels. So sometimes we just got to be like, let it go through, let it go out, and
Hmm.
keep on, because when you don't pay attention, that's when they be like they lose because you're not entertaining them. You're not giving them
Right.
that that
Not
that
I'm not giving you that
food that they
satisfaction
want.
to
So
yep.
it's like
Yeah.
Touch it off.
Yeah, I love that. Love that approach. Even as I think about you being a female entrepreneur, particularly of a construction company, a field that is primarily male dominated, you have to have that confidence. You have to
Hmm.
have that strength, be able to hold your own. And that's why I say, having these conversations about the beginning moments, as you this is why I like to have that, because when I think about some of the things that you've already shared, and the importance of standing up for yourself and loving yourself and building that confidence in yourself, didn't make sense then. You fast forwarding it to today. Here you are, a female-owned construction company owner. Yeah, I'm sure you've had many occasions where you've been in those rooms where those men are looking at you some kind of way, like, "What is she doing here? What does she know about construction? Who does she think she is?" But yet you're holding your own and you're winning bids and doing projects and and competing at a high level and in many instances probably excelling above and beyond many of the men who are, again, that's supposed to be their
It's
field.
not
You
easy.
showing them up,
Let
and
me tell
so
you, it was not easy. Being around men, woo, in the construction field.
hmm
Uh it was I was ready but not ready kind of thing. I started in the business with my husband, and I was confident because he was by my side. You know what I mean? But once he was no longer by my side, I'm like, okay, I'm going in a room full of piranhas ready to chew me out. But I stood my ground. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go in there and show them that I'm not scared, but I'm scared inside. But I'm gonna show
hmm
them I'm not scared. You know what I mean?
right,
Trying to
right.
deviate the situation in my mind. And as soon as I got the hang of it, I'm like, yeah, no. Because the thing is that I know my service, I know what I provide. Why should I feel certain type of way other than proud that you do the same thing as I do? I might get pointers from you to do the job a little bit better. But why should I feel some type of way because I'm in the field of a guy? Mm. So my mind started changing right there. The same job you're doing, I'm doing it. The only difference is you're a guy, I'm a female, but I'm delivering the same service that you are at the same level, at the same profession, as the same way. So as soon as I started putting that positive mindset, like, no, this is just a job. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make me less of a woman. It doesn't make me more than a man. It just makes this is my position. This is what I like, and this is what I'm gonna take. And if you don't like it, well, then part ways. And if you do, well, just come together. And I have had a lot of guys that, especially when I go to Home Depot, and they were like, "You're in the wrong line. You're in the pro section." And I'm like, "No, I'm in the right line." He goes, "No, this is for business owner." Yes, I'm in the right line, as you said. And then they were like, you're a business owner? I'm like, yeah. And they were like, what you do? Construction. And they look at me like, nah, you just playing with me. So I don't say no more. At that point, I don't say no more. I just give them my business card. I'm like, you do the the research, and then you
mm-hmm.
let me know. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of guys call me back. I'm like, you know what? You shut me down. You know what I mean? I thought you were just giving me the card to just be confident and move ways. And I had one that said I had to eat my words in silence, and I couldn't even. So I had to call you and tell you, you know what? You got this. You got this. So, sometimes you don't even have to speak. Here's my card. You do the research. I'm not going to do the research for you because I know what I could deliver. I know what I could bring to the table. Um, and it's just the way I move now. I don't have to explain what I do or don't do. My job will show for it. And it's got me in the door because of my confidence of what I could deliver,
mm-hmm.
and being around guys, and now being respected as a woman in construction, and the jobs that I don't even have to speak no more. And my job is, I don't call it a small business, I call it a growing business, because I don't want it to stay small. I want it to grow. So now, most of the time, I don't even have to talk. It's just everybody, this girl. Sometimes I go to an event and I don't even have the time to say I'm a construction worker, business owner. They're already saying it for me. You know what I mean? And I feel blessed that I have my best friends are like, "Oh no, you gotta meet her. She is this." I'm like, you just did all the talking for me. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
right.
it's been a blessing. I try to stay humble, but at the same time, it's my money, so I'm greedy with my money because nobody make money for myself. So I will always be greedy for my money because that's the only way I'm gonna make my business grow and do what I need to do and not, you know, and I've been through a lot with the separation with my husband and a lot of debt that it showed me how to handle money properly, and be humble. But I don't allow nobody to take advantage. If you want to call me that I'm hungry for my money, yes I am. I'm I make my money. I don't see you making my money for me. Now when I see you that you're making money for me and I see that I'm slacking in my part as giving you money, then I could just sit down and relax and how you say that? Oh my God. And evaluate. Okay, am I doing the right thing? Am I is he right? Am I right? You know what I mean? But other than that, I'm gonna be hungry money for for all my life because I make my own money. I support my own self. I got kids to maintain, grandkids to, to care for, even though my kids are responsible and great parents, but still grandma wanna, leave
Hmm.
something behind for them and try to give them as much as we want.
I love
Mhm.
that. I love your confidence. I love the fact that you haven't compromised your identity, whether it be culturally, whether it be in terms of being female. It's like I'm gonna be every bit of female, every bit of Puerto Rican, every bit of business owner. You're gonna get the whole full package. No chaser. I'm giving it to you straight as it is, and you're gonna either accept it or you're not, but I'm not compromising my integrity. I'm not compromising my character or anything of that nature. I'm giving you the full essence of who I am. I'm about my business, and you want it or you don't. But I'm not gonna let you put me in a box. I'm not gonna let you limit my ceiling for me, and you gotta respect that. I know I do, and again, I'm sure my listeners, both male and female, will respect the mindset that you have and the grit and the grind that you have in doing what you're doing. And then of course, just the last thing that you said is just about your kids and your grandkids. You're already thinking about legacy. Like what can I do now? What can I leave behind for them so that they
Mhm.
can continue this thing? When you can no longer do it, that they can build up on it and let that brand grow even further. So I love your whole approach to that. So thank you for sharing that in that way and being transparent and vulnerable like that, because we need to hear these things. These are the kind of things that when we talk about overcoming adversity and challenges in life, these are the kind of things that you want to keep in mind, of course, in addition to, and most importantly, of course, God's presence in the mix of
For
all
sure.
that. So thank you for sharing that. So, Dorcas, as you know, you explained your childhood and the good and the bad, the in between, and as you embark into adulthood, those challenges still come, and in some instances, eventually you get to a point, you live long enough, and you find yourself facing some challenges that, at some point or another, you find yourself facing, and you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to get through this? That this is a little bit more than maybe the traditional nuances or things of that nature, that every now and then we get hit with a storm that we don't see a way through. We don't see a way
Yeah.
out. We don't have enough money to overcome this. We don't have enough contacts or connects to get around this. And it might make us feel hopeless, makes us feel helpless, if you will. So with that said, tell us about a time when you felt just like that you're facing a situation, didn't see a way out of it, didn't know how you were going to overcome it. Obviously, you're here today, so I'm trusting that God did deliver you through whatever the story is that you're about to share with us. But maybe back then you weren't sure, you had your doubts. So if you would kind of walk through with us, what that experience was like for you, and what was ultimately the turning point where you began to see some light at the end of the tunnel and coming up out of that
Ooh,
situation.
I got a lot for that one. I love sharing my story, not for people to feel sad, or it's just out of encouragement, because I've been through a lot. But those moments makes me allows me to grow every day. I became homeless with 4 kids. Probably, oof, My daughter was 5 or almost 5 at the time. So it's been probably 7 years or so. I became homeless. I lost my job. And in the meantime, I was in the process of buying a house. I had picked the land to build my house. I had a good job. My husband at the time was doing good, working. The kids were good, and boom, life hits. I lost my job. Didn't have no place to live, and I'm like trying to figure out life. I'm like, okay, what is next? So here I am, homeless, no job, and I'm staying from house to house to house, to then ended up living with my kids in a car. Now, it was so hard because here I am trying to provide for my kids. Here I am trying to put food in my kid's stomach, try to put a place to stay for my kids. Social service at the time did not want to help me out at all, even though I had 4 kids. But because I was married, they said that me and my spouse, with the little bit of unemployment he had, was enough to care for me, him, and 4 kids. So we did everything. We did everything we needed to make sure also that the system didn't take my kids away because I'm homeless, living in a car with my kids. I made sure my kids never missed a day in school. I made sure I woke up every day and made sure that they were in school. And then I had to cheat the system because it's reality. I had to cheat the system, and I'm like, okay, I'm not with my husband no more. What now? I'm a single mother with 4 kids, and I had that guilt, but I'm like, God, this is the only way I could do it. This is the only way. So I went, and finally they helped me out. So here now I have a shelter, and I'm like, okay, what's next? So I started looking for jobs, and I went to the city school district. I'm like, how could I become an office clerk secretary? And I went and I took the test, and I failed the test. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, Lord. And then, because you have to wait a process to take the test again. It's not like you, okay, let me take it again.
Hmm.
And I'm like, God, I'll leave it in your hands. Here I am working for DSS because they put you to do web. And I received a call and it said, well, we have a bilingual office clerk 3 bilingual opening available. And we need somebody ASAP because they needed a bilingual person. So, God, so by me being bilingual, I got the job without having to pass the test. So I'm like, thank you, Jesus. You know what I mean? Because you worked it out. I didn't pass the test, but because of my bilingual, because of my fluent Spanish, here I am. And because of my English, here I am. So I started working for the city school district. At that moment, I was in a process also with the job that had fired me to look into the firing, and I won the case. So I won the case and I won a good settlement. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this money, God? I definitely did not want to blow it up. My son had just graduated at an early age from high school at 16 years old. So I was super proud because despite of all that we were doing, he managed to graduate, went into the Marines. Then I'm like, you know what? I told my husband at the time, I'm like, we're opening a business. And he goes, what? I said, yeah, you know how to do the service. You know how to paint. You know how to do houses and all that. So we're opening a business. And I don't want no ifs, buts, and why. So I went downtown and we opened a DBA, not knowing how to run a business. And we were business owner with $32. And here I am where we had a Honda Accord 2 doors doing business. And he goes, okay, what next? Well, what tools do you need? And I went and I bought some of the tools. And then I'm like, okay, so what's next? And I'm like, God, you got to let me know. So I decided to go back to school to take my business administration. Um, to me, it was a waste of time because I did not know how to run my business, but how to run somebody else's business, how to work for somebody else, not how to work for myself. So to me, it was a waste of time, a waste of money. But I did it. So now I'm working for my business, school, and working for the city school district, being a mother, being a wife. And I'm like, okay, what now? I got pregnant once again with my fifth child, and I was not expecting that. I did not want it that at all. And I'm like, but God, you know what you're doing. So here I am pregnant. I gave birth to my son, and I lose my job. I was one of 300 people that lost their job from the city school district because of something money missing that they had to cut 300 plus the second cut was probably another 200 people that lost their jobs. So I'm like, okay, God, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? I am not trying to be homeless. I am not trying to be without a job. So I told my husband, I'm working with you. He looked at me, but I'm like, nah, you can't work with me. I got enough with you in the house. Why would I want to bring you to work with me? I'm like, it cannot be that bad. But sometimes I could be a lot. I admit that. I could be a piece of cake. That's the Latina in me. And I went and I started going to the job, just looking at him. And he goes, are you really gonna stay there and look at me? I'm like, yeah, because I don't know how to do the job. So I gotta look at you so I could start doing the job with you. And one day by day, we every day we had it home, and he made sure not to see my face for a couple of hours. I'm like, go by, you know, until your day. And then I learned, like I was learning just by visual. Unfortunately, things happen, and here I am by my own running a business, and I have not worked physically in the business. So I was crying, I was on my feet, I was in tears, and I'm like, God, why me? That's the wrong answer because you can't ask God why. Simple as it. So I was scared. I'm like, should I just close the business? Should I take on the business? Should I work for somebody else? What should I do? So woke up one day and I said, you know what? We worked so hard to have this business. I do not want to work for nobody else and get fired. And I woke up and I went to work, and I didn't knew what I was doing. I was like, what am I doing? But YouTube helped me a lot. Not that much because when you come to home renovation, different dimension, different square foot, different layouts, different materials. So it was explaining it to you there, but it was not exactly how you could do it step by step because it's totally different. But I was so confident in myself. I used to look at the mirror and talk to myself and like, you got this, girl. I don't know how you're gonna do it, girl, but you got this. So I brought my confidence to tell myself, you got this, you're gonna do good, you're gonna that's gonna come out nice. And when I first did my first job and I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, I did this. This was me. And I was so scared that the client was not gonna pay me, or the client was not gonna like it, or the client was gonna, you know, whatever was coming in my mind, I'm like, but when that client gave me my check, I was like, oh, yeah, I made the right decision. And day by day, I took into another job and another job and another job. And then it started growing to kitchens and bathroom. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting myself in trouble. But I did my homework. On top of that, I was doing my homework. I was reading. I was understanding what was tile, what was muddy, what was compound, what was drywall. I was doing my studying. So when I went to work, I already had my study going on. And whatever I didn't know, I had a lot of people that I will call, like, okay, how you do this? You know, what am I supposed to? I'll go Home Depot. And a lot of people knew, but not a lot. But I managed to find the ones that really knew about the home renovating. And let me tell you, that fear was a fear of being homeless, the fear of not providing for my kids, the fear of not having money made me grow the business into where it is. And I had a lot of hiccups. There was a lot of debt in between that I'm still working with the IRS, but in the name of Jesus, everything will get situated. I had to remove myself from that business because it was mine's and his, so separation of business. It was scary. I had to move in with my sister to make sure I paid the debt that was left behind by him and work. And I was like, how did I got from making all this money and traveling, enjoying life to boom, all this debt came in and I was scared. I'm like, I'm going to lose the business after I worked so hard to bring it up. And thank God I've met amazing people that have helped me, amazing friends that have guided me throughout my process. They know what I've been struggling. And I carry a smile. A lot of people didn't saw my tears, but I cried every day on that time, in that shower. And I cried and I cried and I came out smiling and they were like, how you smile? How you smile through all this? God. I can't tell you. I don't know. My strength comes from the Lord. My everything comes from the Lord. And I'll be like, sometimes I'll be like, God, how did I mess up? How did I let myself slip away from your hands? Because sometimes, we slip. And I'm like, how did I let myself slip when you have blessed me in so many ways? And sometimes we're so blind that we don't see how God bless us. You know what I mean? And that's why this year I'm like, yeah, this year God is with me every second of the way. There's nobody but God first. Because last year, not having God in my life showed me a lot. Showed me that I can only count in Him because He's the only one that provides. He's the only one that gives me the strength. He's the only one that guides me through the darkest time of my life. And I still go through it. We're humans. We're going to go through a lot of storms. But that has molded me into the woman and how confident I am. That sometimes people be like, "Oh, you're too bulky." No, it's how confidence. And a couple of months ago, I had 3 months with no job, and I'm like, "What am I gonna do now?" You know what I mean? It's like crickets. And God was like, "Just stay quiet, stay still." And I'm like, "But how am I gonna pay my bills?" Just stay quiet, stay still. That's all I need you to do. Worry about what you could do to continue growing your business. And that's what I did. I was here sitting down where a lot of people thought I was just enjoying my time or sleeping. I did a lot of TikTok, so they thought that I was just doing TikTok. You know what I mean? So I'm like, or me posting on social media. Well, social media allow me because now I get paid through Facebook. So obviously I was still doing what I needed to do, but I was here grinding, but people didn't saw that I was grinding and moving
Hmm.
and doing everything because they only saw what the social media showed. They didn't saw the back scene of what Dorca does, when it comes to her business. And it was a storm after a storm after a storm, and God has allowed me to get through it. And I'm like, whoever wants to be in this boat with me, better come with good intention, better come with good vibe, positivity, or you're getting off. We cannot allow you in this boat. Not in my boat this year. I've had so many ups and downs that if you're not positive, if you're not here for a good thing in my life, it's not that I'm trying to be better, but I'm trying to get somewhere, and I am not letting nobody stop me from what God wants me to do because this is His journey. At the end of the day, I don't know what He wants me to do, but I'm doing it. I don't know what lives He wants me to touch, but this year I'm like, I'm whatever you want, God, because I was failing in what I was doing. And if I didn't give the wheel to Him, I probably would have lost my business. I probably would have lost everything, because we get so scared and how am I gonna get out of this storm? How am just let it go. That's what I learned throughout my storm. Let it go and let God.
Wow, that's definitely a powerful story. Again, thank you for being transparent and vulnerable and sharing. The takeaways from what you said, which I pray that my listeners are grasping this is, as you stated, sometimes we can kind of have that season in our lives where things are going well. Life is popping. The bills are paid. Family is straight. Everything is going well, and unfortunately, while those are good things to experience, I mean, all of us want that. Sometimes when we find ourselves in those moments, we can kind of put ourselves in a vulnerable position where we let our guards down and we forget how we got to that point.
Mhm.
We forget about God and making ways and being that provider, being that comforter, being that strength for us. And we just kind of again we kind of put him on the back burner. And so because he loves us like he does, every so often when he finds us drifting, kind of drifting
Mhm.
away, kind of feeling ourselves a little too much, like as if we are responsible for all of this stuff happening, he has to sort of disrupt our world.
Yes.
And the way that he does it is by allowing certain storms to come down our street. And again, it's not to hurt us. It's
Mhm.
not to make our lives miserable or anything. It's more about getting our attention.
Mhm.
Getting our attention back on him to say, "Hey, did you forget about me over here? You know those times when you didn't have or you didn't know how you were going to get through, and the one who
Yes.
made that possible. You know, I know you've been having a good ride right now, but don't forget me. You know, even during those good moments,
Yes.
don't forget who got you here, who's sustaining it, who's making it happen." And so you telling your story as you have, you know, as a reminder to us about why we can't do that, because when we do, then that's when stuff starts to snowball. That's when things start to kind of get chaotic and out of control. But even then, he could have allowed everything to just crash and burn up under you and leave you with nothing, but he didn't do that. He let it go just far enough to get your attention to where you refocused back on him. You got locked back in on him, and then once you did, now you're able to receive what he has for you. You're able to hear him. You're able to open your mind up to what he wants for you. Even if the message that he has for you at that moment is to just be still, you're
Mhm.
able to hear it. You're able to receive it, because before you too busy caught up in all other stuff. Well, now that I'm receiving, now that I'm hearing you, now that I'm focused on you, this is now he's opening up. He's revealing things to you. He's opening those doors that once were closed. He's bringing forth these opportunities. He's bringing people into your life that you didn't see coming, and he's removing
Yes.
some people out of your life that needed to
Yes.
go. You know, because you talked about that. You know, some people can be in the boat, and some people need to get up out of that boat.
I need
You
to get
know,
out.
and so he begins to open all of that up for you, and now all of a sudden you start seeing things kind of blossom again and grow and you know and again and open up to you in ways like never before. And so the lesson here is that we don't ever want to take our eyes on off of God. We don't ever want to just only limit our relationship with him to when I need something,
Mhm.
when something is going down and wrong, where now I'm on my knees begging, oh please Lord, help me. You know, he will help you, but it's like, no, you got to be with him when everything is great, and you got to
Yes.
be with him when everything, you know, when things seem to be kind of rough, the waters are rough and things are kind of chaotic, because it's a season that he's allowing to come into your life, again, not to destroy you, but it's an opportunity for you to level up, for you to grow, for you to develop, for you to enter into that next phase of what he's opening up for you. But it requires some work. And um and the other thing that comes to mind that I love that you mentioned was that even when you recently had that period of time where you were, you know, didn't have any jobs coming in, another storm, you know, like you said, there was people on the outside, you know, assuming that, oh, you probably just chilling, you're just kicking it back, you know, using this time as a rest moment. But you said no, I still stayed on my grind, even though I didn't know when that next job was going to happen. I didn't, you know, I'm in the middle of this storm. I stayed on my grind, keeping my skills sharp, staying ready, so that
Mhm.
when God finally does decide at this moment in time he's going to open things back up for me, I haven't lost a beat. If anything,
Yeah.
I'm better than what I was before this storm hit. And so again, even in moments like that, sometimes he'll let a storm come through just so you can collect your thoughts, so just so you can sharpen up some skills, so just so you can reestablish a level of discipline and focus that you need to have, because he's saying, I'm gonna give you this drought period right now, because when the drought is over, you're getting ready to get some work that you haven't had before. It's getting ready to be another level. And so
Yeah.
use this time to restore, to replenish, to again to grind it out, do your thing, so when it comes, you're not hit, you know, you're not shocked, you're not hit by surprise. You're ready to actually go right to work and get rolling with it. And I know this to be true because I've had that personal experience myself, where God has allowed some drought seasons for me. And I had to, instead of, you know, spending that time moping and, oh, I ain't had no job in this long, or I ain't had this go on my way in this period of time. Because that's what the enemy wants you to do.
Mhm.
You chose the other path. God said, no, don't use this season to mope and you know all of that. Use this season to plan. Use this season
Mhm.
to prepare. Use this season to again to tie up loose ends, to get ready, because you're not, you know, as they say, trouble don't last always. You're not gonna forever be in this.
That's
Are you
right.
are you gonna be ready when I'm ready to open it back up for you? Are you gonna be ready for that? Are you gonna still be? Are you gonna use this time moping and wasting time and not taking advantage of this downtime, even though it's maybe an uncomfortable downtime? Take advantage to be ready for me when I open up that blessing to you. So
Hmm.
that's what you've done, and that's why you continue to realize the success that you do, even in the midst of an occasional storm here or there. It doesn't throw you completely off track to where you have to raise the white flag and call it a day and throw in the towel. You don't have to do that
Yeah.
because you're responding and you're following God's steps, his guidance for your life. And that's what continues to keep you moving forward and getting stronger and more confident in yourself
Hmm.
and believing in yourself as you do. Not as arrogance, not as cockiness, but as an assurance in God as to what he has for you. So very very powerful what you shared there. And again, to my listeners, I pray that you are embracing this. Take these nuggets that she's dropping, because this is real. This is a real thing that you need to understand about the importance of being in a relationship with God and how that connects with the various adversities and challenges that you have in life. So again, thank you for that. So Dorcas, when you face challenging times, I mean, obviously you shared some heavy stuff. And it's not always going to be heavy. Sometimes it's just casual nuances that we deal with, lifing type stuff. Um, I'm curious to know from you, if you would share with us, what is it that you like to do when you do find yourself facing a challenging time, regardless of how intense or whatever it might be? What is it that works best for you to kind of help clear your head, get your focus right, and work through whatever that challenge is that you're facing at any given moment in time? What's your routine or your process that you like to do?
Well, this year it changed, and it's more with the Lord because I have abandoned Him. So I like to worship now every morning, just to get the day. But it depends on the situation, because sometimes bathtub and crying, it helps in certain situation. Or I will go in the mirror and talk to myself to boost myself up, to motivate myself, to because we got moments that we don't feel confident, that we feel weak, that we feel vulnerable, and it's okay. It's not staying stuck there for a long time. So depending on the situation or the storm that I'm facing, well, requires different ways of what to do to help with that situation. Um, I've 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 done a lot of removing a lot of people, and staying more to myself, and only allowing certain people that are positive in my life. So I've removed so-called friends, I've removed family members, I've removed whoever that needed to get out. So this year is more about silence, staying in that silent moment at most time, because that's where I learned to gather my thought, where there's no chaos. It's just me, God, and my thinking, and being able to change that negative thought that comes in, because they creep in, and turn it into a positive thought. So sometimes reading a book might increase that chances of making that storm a little bit better. Sometimes it's getting in the word of God. Sometimes it's crying in the bathroom until your tears no longer come out. Sometimes it's just looking in the mirror and just telling yourself, you got this, get up, what are you doing, what is it that you need to get to that momentum. Sometimes is I like going to the beach, but it's too cold, so I try I still go, but I stay in my car, because there's something about water that just calms your soul, and just gets you into that meditation and thinking in life. Sometimes as friends, you got to know what friends are there for the right reason, um that are going to encourage you, or give you that boost that you need, or tell you how you're doing, because only sometimes you can't see yourself, but you have friends that can tell you about yourself, and that's good, because they could see something that I don't see in myself, or that I have to change, or that I do that might come out a certain way. So that might have created the storm. So having different ways to cope. Because to me, one way of coping with it, it's not enough. Because then you get tired. I'm like, oh, I've tried this and it hasn't helped. Try a different thing and try a different thing. Read or music. I love music. I love to dance. So to me, music will always get me into this happy moment thing. But try to figure out your storm and try to figure out what works for that storm so that you could be right within yourself, your mindset, your confidence, and what is it that you need to do to be able to get out the storm. Because if you stay in a storm too long, sometimes it's hard to get out. And you don't want to be in that storm for so long because the devil's a liar, negative thoughts, negative thinking, um, and it might pull you down more than what it needs. And I share this with a lot of people. I consider myself a buffalo because I go I go towards a storm because that's how the
Mm,
buffalo they go towards the storm
yes.
instead of running from the storm because they know if they run, the storm is still coming after them. Now, if you go through the storm, you know that the storm will be way out because you already you went through it. You managed to get out through the storm faster. So I consider myself a bull in that aspect of it. But then there's time that I consider myself as a butterfly because sometimes you gotta just let yourself. It's like a butterfly. You turn. It's a how you say that in English? Oh my god!
Talking about the caterpillar.
No, before the no, the caterpillar and then the cocoon and then
And the
it
cocoon.
blooms. Sometimes we gotta see ourselves as a butterfly, and sometimes categorizing yourself as an animal sometimes is good. I'm like, okay, today I'm gonna be I love the wolf. Um, wolf family because you know with wolf is like a
Mm,
pack is a
pack.
family, so
Mm-hmm.
it depends if it's a storm with your family and think about ways. And to me a wolf when it comes to blooming with your life and within yourself and making yourself come out of that cocoon, I consider myself a butterfly. So little things like that that has helped me get through the storm because not all storm are the same. Now there's some storms that because you felt it the first time you got to go take it again. Now, you got to figure out why you have to take that test again because you probably didn't pass it the first time. So sometimes we got to go through the storm over and over and over again because God's trying to tell you you didn't pass it. There's something that you need to see and you're not seeing it and you got to take it again. And we're going to have good, bad, ugly moments in life. We're human, we're not perfect. And it's okay. It's okay to not be perfect. Only God is perfect. All we could do is try to do better and not repeat the same scenario, the same thing that you've been through life. Love yourself, encourage yourself, never talk back bad to yourself, speak positive words into yourself because the worst person that could damage you is yourself. People could hurt you and everything, but when you hurt yourself, it's worse because you're the one inflicting the pain upon yourself. You're the one inflicting the negative thoughts upon yourself. And if you don't speak positive, if you don't love yourself, if you don't encourage yourself, nobody's going to do it. You could have 1,000 people motivate you, and if you don't motivate yourself to that point that you want to change, you are not going to change. It's something that has to come within you for you to be able to change and be that person you want. And that's why every year I say every year I'm battling with myself. I'm not battling with nobody out here but myself because I want to be better than yesterday, better than yesterday, better than yesterday, because yesterday will always be there. Yesterday will always be there to new day. So, new day, better than yesterday. A new day, better. So, it's just trying to do better for yourself and for the people you love.
Very well said. Very well said. I love your animal analogies. It's interesting that you made mention about the buffalo because I literally just, I want to say 2 days ago, saw that analogy about the buffalo being the only animal that runs towards towards the storm instead of away from the storm.
Yeah.
So that visual came to mind as you were sharing that, and that's powerful because that's the way we have to face our storms is head on. We can't run from them. We can't hide from them because they're not going to go anywhere. You got at some point you got to have that courage to be able to stand up, but understand that you're a human being and sometimes you don't have all that it takes to stand tall against that storm. That's why we take it back to you having that relationship with God because he can be that strength. He can be that
Mhm.
courage boost that you need to be able to withstand that moment and face that storm head on and not allow it to defeat you, but that you walk through that thing, even if it may be at a slow pace because the
Mhm.
force of it all trying to take you out. But with God by your side, with God leading the way, it's not going to take you out. He's going to get you through it, and you just got to kind of again weather the storm. But when
Yes.
you get out on the other side of it, that's when the testimony is revealed. That's when you've been able to survive being battle tested in that moment, and now again you can be in position to level up to whatever it is that God has for you. And now you're able to receive whatever blessing it is on the other side that He has for you. But you had to go through that stormy moment. And to the other thing that you said, sometimes storms will repeat themselves, especially when we didn't get out of it what we were supposed to get out of it the first time.
Yeah.
God doesn't have a problem with giving us a retake on a situation. And again, it's not to punish us, it's not to make life miserable, but he wants us to get it right. He wants us, and if it means doing it over multiple times, if it means repeating it again, then so be it. Because the ultimate goal is to get you in alignment with what His will is for your life. That's the only way that you can be able to survive such stormy moments in your life. So I appreciate, you sharing that. And then of course you talked about just the power in having those moments of isolation. Sometimes you just need to be with you and God.
Mhm.
Just take the time, of course, to purge out of you whatever it is. So you talked about the crying in the tub, and nothing wrong with that. A lot of times people want to, because we're so busy trying to be tough and trying to be strong and holding. No, let that out of you got to release that out of you. But as you said, just don't stay stuck there. Just don't stay in that zone. You get it out, wipe your face, pull yourself together. Okay, now God, where am I supposed to go with this? Pour into me whatever it is that I need to know, guide my steps, show me the way. Where do I go now? But
Mhm.
now you're able to receive that, because before, if you're all over the place, if your emotions are all over the place, if chaos is all over the place, whether it's within you or in your surroundings, which, and you spoke to that, so you got to clear that surrounding. You got to minimize that circle a bit. Everybody can't be in
Mhm.
your circle. Everybody can't be in that space, especially when you're going through stuff. Everybody's not the ideal person to be around or to share that stuff with, because either they don't mean well or they don't know how to come
Yes.
alongside you. And you don't need that negative energy. You don't need somebody trying to, if I'm already down, I don't need you to come around and pull me further down. I don't need you to be of discouragement to me. I don't need you to, I need people and surroundings and settings that uplift me, that give me hope, that inspire me, that encourage me. Even you use an example of just going to the beach, even if you don't physically get out of the car, just being able to sit there and just take in the scene, of God's creation. In this case, the water. It calms you. It brings peace over you. If that works, tap into that. Whatever that takes for you to be able to not only settle within yourself, but to draw you nearer to Him. And you've given us multiple examples of how you do that in your process and in your routine. And that doesn't mean that there aren't other ways that we can bring ourselves in those moments. She's just sharing one way that she does it. So for those of you who are tuning in who don't have a particular way that you like to do things, when it comes to facing adversity, she's definitely giving you some outlines of some things that you can tap into as a starting point. And then, of course, over time, you just kind of add to it whatever you want to add to it to make it your own, what works best for you. So, again, thank you for sharing that. So, Dorcas, if you had an opportunity as you reflect back on all of life's experiences, the mountains, the valleys, the everything in between, if you could sit across the table from the younger Dorcas, the challenges that she had, the struggles that she went through, the hurdles that she had to overcome and didn't quite know how to navigate that stuff, or just think about the fact that somebody's listening to this episode and they're in the midst of some storms right now and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to process it all. They don't know how to work through it, and maybe again, maybe have gone through some of the things that you spoke of. Whether it's homelessness or financial challenges or marital separations or things of that nature. What would be your words of encouragement, your words of advice to the younger Dorcas or to or any of our listeners who are struggling right now as to this is what I would say to you to try to be able to handle dealing with your adverse moments and your challenging situations?
I would say never give up on yourself. Um, Giving up on yourself will mean that you lost in life within yourself. Um, Life is hard as it is. We all go through challenges. We all go through problems. But there's a reason God gives us certain challenges to certain people. And that's because He knows you could pass the test. He knows that you could come out winning. He knows that probably you have something that He wants to show you. And giving up, it's not the way to go. It's just fight through. It's like sometimes it's like fighting for something you love, because we fight for our children, we fight for our grandkids, we will do anything. Having that mentality that I'm doing this for me, I'm fighting for myself, it's the only way that's going to make you go through the storms. Because you can have people beside you, but they can't win that storm for you, they can't win that battle, they can give you the tools, but only you will have to know how to work with those tools. Because I could show you how to work with a tool, that doesn't mean you're going to know how to, you know, work with the tool. You have to constantly continue using the tool. So get those tools that are out there, and and work through it. Work through it. Don't give up. Giving up, it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to make you win in life. It's striving. In I tell it so because I know a lot of young girls that lately, with this era of the youth in this era, give up so easily because a lot of things are handed to them, you know, and they don't know how to deal with certain situation, and they are ready to just throw the towel. And I'll be like, no, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. It's gonna get worse. So mentally, I'd be like, this is just the beginning, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you it's going to be worse. So, not giving up, it's like, how could you give up on your dreams? It's your dreams. Nobody could give it to you. How could you give up on that child? They're counting on you. How can you give up on your mother or your father, your uncle, your spouse? It's that fire that allows you to continue fighting for that fight. You know what I mean? And learning that life is not all about money, even though money is necessary to live, but it's not about that, because at the end of the day, if you have a roof, you're blessed. If you have water, you're blessed. If you got food, you're blessed. If you got clothing, you're blessed. And sometimes we think that we are not blessed in a lot of ways because we're just trying to figure out for the higher things. And to me, baby steps is where baby steps is where what it does to get you there. Jumping to get there is gonna bring you right back down because you didn't take the necessary step to make sure that you know the steps and what you need to do to maintain to stay up there. um and giving up is not an option, because then what are you going to be in life if you give up on yourself? Who you're going to be? What support you're going to be for a child, for a friend, or a sister or mother? You know what I mean? We are here for a reason. If we were meant to be here, God would not brought us here. We would not be alive. God would just end your life like this. If He says you're done, you're done. But He gives you another day. That means fight. Don't give up. Keep continue. Keep that good fight. You don't win a fight if you don't fight right. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
not giving up in life, no matter how hard it is, no matter how dark it is, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a prize that you win when you do not quit. And it's okay to lose in life, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm losing." Losing is part of winning. If you don't lose,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't winning. If you're winning, 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 I don't know what's that, but that's not winning in life. You have to lose. You have to fail in life to win. You have to go through certain things, so then your mindset could grow, so your thinking could grow. It's a way of building yourself into this strong character. And losing is part of the game. It's okay to lose. You got haters, you're doing something good, because there's a reason
Mm-hmm.
they're called haters. You know what I mean? So giving up, not an option. Not an option, because God doesn't give up on us, and He gives us day by day by day. Even when we fail, even when we wrong Him, even when we're not doing what we're supposed to do, He's still right there fighting a good fight. He could end this. That's the thing. He could end this, but He knows that we are capable of winning the fight. So, not giving up. It's the best thing I could let my young kids or anybody hearing. There's somebody always going through worse situation than you are. So always think about that. There's worse people going through worse situation, and they're probably more happier than what we are.
Mm. Love that. Love that. Don't give up. No matter how much water somebody's trying to throw on your fire, don't let that fire go out. Um, you just got to keep, like you said, just keep on persevering, keep pushing forward. Um, that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Mhm.
Like I said, trouble doesn't last always. Joy comes in the morning. There is
Sure
something
does.
to still fight for, and I think the biggest takeaway is when you said, the importance of losing. Losing is not a bad thing.
Mhm.
If you've put in your best effort, if you tried and you fell short, that's okay. Because falling short is how you learn from those mistakes, you learn from those missteps. You can go back to the drawing board, you can kind of work on those things and come back even stronger and better than what you did the first time around. So
Mhm.
losing is part of the winning process,
Yes, it is.
because like you said, we live in this day and time, particularly with our young people, where everything is handed to them, everything is going well and smooth, so they won't even know how to handle adversity, from a real adversity. If it were to
Mhm.
hit them, they would just like lose it, go into shock, like, what am I supposed to do? And you don't want that for your children. You don't want that even as an adult.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to deal with those storms, those adversities, because they're going to come. It's not a matter of if, but when. There's no way around that. But it's how you respond in those moments, and
Mhm.
what do you do when you fall down? What do you do when you misstep? Do you just give up? Do you just quit? Do you run at the first sign of trouble? If you have that mindset, you'll never get very far. You're
Not.
limiting yourself as to where you can go and what you can be. If every
Yes.
time it doesn't go your way, if everything doesn't always perfectly fit according to your plan, that's not how you operate. And when you have a relationship with God, you understand that even more, because
For sure.
as we oftentimes hear, tell God what you plan to do, and and that's almost comical to him,
Mhm.
because he will flip that thing and do it a completely
And I
opposite way that
snap
you've
of the
never
finger.
imagined, that you didn't even think of, and it comes out twice as better than what you would have ever planned to do. So
Yes.
yeah, so all of those key points that you made in this segment, is very powerful, and definitely things that my listeners can apply immediately. So again, thank you for that. So Dorcas, this has just been a phenomenal time together with you, hearing your journey, hearing your story, sharing so authentically, so transparently, so generously as you have. I know I've been blessed. My listeners have been blessed, and I just so appreciate you, being the person that you are, being the woman that you are, the woman of God that you are, and pouring into us this evening as you have. It has definitely been a blessing, and definitely a great time, spending with you. Time well spent, and I'm so thankful that you accepted the invite to be a part of this podcast. But of course, before I let you go, as is customary here on the Blessings in the Streets podcast, we do want to take a moment to celebrate you, to love on you, to acknowledge you. So if you got anything that's exciting that's going on, either now or coming up, I don't care if it's personally or professionally or a little bit of both, please share that with us. We want to hear some any of the good happenings or good news that's coming up, so we can celebrate that and lift you up in prayer and all of those good things, because we want to celebrate everything that you got going on or coming up. So what do people need to look forward to if they want to keep up with you? What's happening with Dorcas coming down the pipe that we need to know
You can
about?
always find me on social media. I'm always there. But a lot of good things are coming for my business, which is the construction company, Dorca Construction Company. I've worked hard. A lot of doors are opening. A lot of I'm sitting in a lot of chairs that I never thought I would be sitting. Um, so I'm just taking in everything that I've been experiencing these couple of days with when it comes to my construction company. And I'm like, God, he keeps putting the right person to allow me to show me, because I know the service. But I need a team because I don't know how to run the business completely on my own. And there's no way I could do it on my own. So God has been putting a lot of people in my life to where, okay, let's take this business to the next level. A lot of the changes of the business that I've been doing has been going amazing. Waiting for the IRS to bless me with those tax returns. And I'd be like, okay, they're filed, they're good. Let's move on. Because with that, I have my next business adventure that I'm going to tackle. I'm just trying to have at least five figures. I mean, five different income figures. So far I got my construction. I have my shirt company that I'm doing a lot of upgrades to it, so then the business could run more efficiently. I have more time to prepare and do more shirts at a proper time, or hats and stuff. This is one of them. This is another one that I get done. And then I have my travel company. I book travel, cruises, wedding. And then I also allow other to join the team as business owners. And then one that is coming through. Don't want to say yet, but I have another venture. I got two more ventures that I want to tackle in life, and it's just setting myself to succeed. Making sure that if one business is low, because I've learned that then one business is low, that this one's still generating income, because those moments come, and having those income in different ways is going to allow me to live a comfortable life. I just want to live comfortable, not having to worry about what next bill I got to pay, and live a comfortable life with my family, my children, my kids, my grandkids, and enjoy life. I love to travel, so I'm trying to make it there again. I used to travel a lot, and I'm trying to bring it in there. So having people to come and enjoy my team in the construction company is my main goal this year. So whatever God has for me, um, I'm ready for it. There's a lot of changes. I'm trying to tell God, give me the strength, because I'm so controlling and I like certain things to go my way, but having different mindset, different people, it's better than just my mindset. And that's just a reality. I can't do it on my own, and different mindset will allow a business to grow, because I don't want a small business. I want a growing business. So growing business require having people come and make changes if they have to for my business. And that's what I'm praying God to allow me, to give me the strength, to allow to put the right people in the business. So then my business could go to the next step as far as you go. But a lot of good changes. Try to stay humble, try to stay to be myself, and not let all this turn me into something that I don't want to be. So the only way I could do that is have God in my heart, in my life, so then I know that every blessing that comes is because he's allowing me, and never know that blessing could come for me to bless somebody else.
That is awesome. I'm excited for you and everything that you got your hands on. And just praying for God's favor over your life, not only in your career but in your family and your finances,
Thank
and just
you.
as you as a whole. So you're doing some great and magnificent things, and definitely something to applaud and to celebrate. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, so we can be a part of celebrating it with you. And if anybody who is interested in any of your services that you mentioned, they want to check that out, or contact you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Social media. I have my Facebook, my Instagram. I got my TikTok. Um, those are my main platform because that's how my business have been growing through the social media platform. I have no website yet, but I'm looking into it. Because you never know if social media fails. We have I was thinking, I'm like, they took TikTok. I'm like, I was freaking out. I'm like, I got so many videos in there. So I'm like, okay, I have to start thinking differently. But social media is my main one, Dorca Construction. They can find all the information they need there and all my videos, all my pictures. I always post everything in there. Everything that is posted has to do only with me. It's not pay pictures, it's not pay video, it's all solely me.
Awesome. So you want construction needs, travel, t-shirts, whatever it is. Dorcas, like I said, has her hats, many hats that she wears, so she might be able to tap into something that you are interested in. So definitely check into that. Continue to tap in and follow her, and just watch her journey, and see how God is blessing her life more and more each day, and be encouraged and inspired by that. So again, Dorcas, thank you so much for being on the show. And to my audience, if you've enjoyed our podcast this evening, if you've found this to be a blessing to you, please subscribe, please share, please like, please
Yes.
comment, because this is what the Blessings in the Streets podcast is all about. We want to inspire, we want to encourage, we want to uplift, taking time out to share our personal stories, being open and raw and transparent and vulnerable with you, not for sympathy's sake, not for shock effect, but to, again, to, in the hopes of giving you something of us personally that you can take and apply into your own respective lives, because we understand that storms happen for everybody, adversities and challenges happen for everybody. We're all going through something in some fashion or
Yes.
form, and so any type of encouragement, or anything of the like that can be offered up, is definitely well welcomed and received. And but the most important thing, if you want to take away from this, is the presence of God in our lives, having a relationship with
Yes.
Him, because none of these successes in life, none of these testimonies in life are even possible without His presence. And if you don't have
That's
a
right.
relationship with God right now, today is a mighty fine day to make that
Yes,
decision.
it
I
is.
promise you it'll be the greatest decision that you will ever make. Telling you not something that we heard, telling you something that we know from personal experience. So
Yes.
do not take that lightly if that's not where you are, or if you found yourself drifting from Him for a while. This is a great day to shift gears and bring yourself back into relationship with Him, rekindle that conversation, have those talks with Him, leaning into Him once again, and He will receive you with open arms. I promise you that.
Yes, he will.
Unconditionally loving you, being there for you, supporting you, providing for you, giving you that courage and strength. Whatever it is that you need, He can supply it for you.
Yes.
So just keep in mind, here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, as Dorcas reminds us, don't give up. Keep fighting that fight. Keep being persistent. Be like that buffalo that goes into the storm directly. Don't run from it. And most importantly, keep God in your life in all
Yes.
aspects of it, because He is the ultimate promise keeper, the ultimate way maker. So until next time, you take care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you at our next broadcast. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye bye.